well, we're here. We're at Rendezvous. What can I say, man? Today was really tough. Like, I thought my name would definitely be on the chopping block, but my name didn't get called, so I was kind of relieved overall. Because I genuinely thought I was gonna go home. Like, I felt it in my heart. Like, I know I have allies and stuff, but anything can happen in this game. And, you know, I couldn't vote for David because I knew he had votes coming his way, and I wasn't sure he was gonna use his compass. And so I had to throw him a vote because I couldn't vote for Philip. Like, I had him wrapped around my finger. I knew I could trust him to vote whichever way I wanted. So, like, I had to think about my game. And my game was, he's good for me, right? And so I wanted to keep him around. You know, I'm not sad that he left because he was a major threat. Like, he's a great player. But I think he antagonized or like just rubbed people the wrong way a little bit, you know? And so, hopefully, like now that he's part of the final panel that gets to vote for the winner, he'll see that, like, you know, in the end, he did throw out Haley's name, which is why it was in my mind. But I knew she wasn't going to be eliminated because no one goes for Philip's plan anyway. But I hope he sees that, you know, I did listen to him. So if I do make it to that far where I'm final 3 or final 2, like, he'll vote for me. And, you know, I've been honest with everyone for the most part. I mean, like, I didn't have to betray anyone except for Haley so far. And Jess is out, so she was the only one I did betray. But I think Haley and I are good now because she did vote for me. I voted for her, so I guess we're even now. And the way I see it, in terms of the players who are left, I don't trust Joshua because I just didn't get a chance to talk to him at all. I don't know how I feel about Carl. I think Carl is all about self-preservation at this point because he believes there is an all-female alliance. But you know what? I'm not mad at that because if it is, better for my game. Yeah, and Haley and David do scare me. I heard, are a dynamic duo. They've been ride or die since day one. And so I am worried. And I do feel like me and Mariana are up on the chopping block for tomorrow. So it's really scary. You know, I show all my cards, like, as Katie says, like, you know, I did have a random throwaway vote for Haley. Hopefully she forgives me, but, you know, like, I just couldn't vote for David. I couldn't vote for Philip. So I had to vote for someone. And I didn't want to vote for Katie because Katie said she wouldn't vote for me, and so I didn't feel right voting for her, but she is a wild card. Very much a wild card. And so, yeah. She definitely has a vendetta against Olivia and Mike. So I'm a little worried for them. I have their back, but I think Joshua has to go. He's a strong player. I don't know him. If I can get on his side and kind of gauge who he is, then better for me. But I don't know. It's like gonna be hard to make that relationship. I don't know. I just honestly can't believe I'm here. I cannot believe it. Like, what are we, final 10 now? Final 11? Good God, my heart is still beating, and it's like 20 minutes past end of filming, so yikes. I don't know. I feel like I'm okay, but also I don't know. I just didn't want votes for the 2 people I knew were gonna be voting. This sucks. This sucks. I don't think I'll make it that far, but hey, it's been a nice ride.
What's up, y'all? And welcome to another edition of Carl's Confessionals. Just spinning it. Alright, so that was kind of crazy. We rendezvous, yeah, baby. First goal complete. Rendezvous. And I didn't win the challenge, but Josh did, which is awesome because I like that Josh is starting to become a threat, and I might be able to hide behind him a little bit, and wait for my move. I told you before, the Cobra, getting ready to attack the King Cobra. I'm just waiting to make my move. Yeah, I really thought I was going to get some votes today, but I didn't. I didn't get any. Philip went home. Kind of like not a bad thing. I like the way things are setting up. I have a lot of options, but I really like the one with Josh. Chicken and waffles, baby. Chicken and waffles. Oh, hell! King Kong.
Expedition Online. What is going on? Your boy, David Jackson here, has lost control of this game. That is for sure. I do not have numbers. I have a big target, and I am struggling to figure out who I can trust. Before the challenge today, had a talk with all of our original Red members of Kagwantan. Well, not the original, 3.0, with Philip, Bambi, myself, Katie, Mike, Haley. And with having numbers, we talked about sticking together, about like if we can all just stick together as a group, we could go far. And I was open to that if everyone else was, but we'll get to what happened later. But at the challenge, they Docs pulled the old tribe swap on us again, but we all got swapped into the same tribe. Rendezvous time. We all rendezvoused together, and we made it. We made it to a milestone in the game that is, a major goal when it starts. So pretty exciting. At the challenge today, I didn't practice a whole lot. I felt like I'd kind of raised my target level on challenges. I didn't really want to do well if I didn't have to. And I felt like if we lost as a tribe, I'd be okay, even though I had lost my vote. When they announced it was Rendezvous, I was like, man, whoever wins this challenge is going to just have a huge target. And they might be safe for one, but man, once the game starts being individual, challenge threats are huge targets. And as soon as you lose one, you could be done. So I'm not saying I could have won, but I would have practiced a whole lot more if I thought it was a must-win. I probably would have. I'm not like the best at blowing ping pong balls onto cans. So, I actually made it to round 2, but I did not want to win, and I'm not saying I would have necessarily thrown it, but I did not practice as much as I could have, just this is not the time. This is not the time to go on a winning streak. This video is terrible. I'm so sorry. I'm just like so scatterbrained and out of it. So after Josh won the challenge, we all go back to base camp and we celebrate, and then the chaos begins. And we go into different rooms. The first name I'm starting to hear is Philip. People are, Philip just has the biggest target in the game. Everyone knows he's won multiple challenges, likely has multiple advantages. And, he was public enemy number 1. But I keep on hearing things that Carl is hard gunning for me. And Carl swears that that's not true. But if Carl is not lying to me, that means Mike is. And my brain is so scrambled. I'm pretty good at reading people, but my brain is pretty scrambled. I think I believe Mike over Carl, especially because like Olivia was backing him up on that. But like, there's something about Mike I'm not trusting anymore. He's got his hands in so many different cookie jars, and there's something about tonight that just doesn't add up, because when the votes came out, there were 3 votes for me. There were 4 votes for Philip. There was a vote for Haley. There was 2 votes for Katie. Bambi switched her vote to Haley because she heard that I had an idol. So as soon as I told Mike that I had a compass, and he's the only one I told I had a compass, everyone knew. Everyone knew. So Mike clearly leaked that out of like, David has a compass, he's playing it. It certainly seems like the plan was to split votes between me and Philip. And this seems to be, it would have to be most likely a plan that was widespread among everyone. Everyone. I think I have very few people in this game I can trust right now. And then there was a couple votes thrown on Katie in case both me and Philip played compasses as a contingency. It seems like a massive plan to split the votes. And if Bambi hadn't gone rogue and done a throwaway vote, and I hadn't played the compass, it would have been a split vote between me and Philip. And at that point, what would have happened? Who would they have gotten rid of on the revote? Was it a mistake to play my compass? I don't know. But I'll say one thing about playing the compass. It does lower my threat level a bit, and I think it establishes that I'm trying to play an honest, straightforward game, because I basically got permission from Katie before I played it. And I didn't want to burn this bridge with Katie and just totally seem like a villainous, no good guy that is literally stole a compass from someone. Well, I didn't steal it from her. I convinced her to give it to me, and then played it on myself selfishly without her permission. I don't think Katie would have forgiven me if I didn't really clear it by her. So I thought that if I talked to Katie, she would agree and allow me to play it. And thankfully she did, because if she didn't, I might have taken a huge risk and given it back to her, because just the threat level of having one, it's just like, I need to get rid of this. Or I could have just gotten deserted. And that would have been that. So hopefully people now find me to be a loyal, trustworthy person because of that move I made in terms of just talking to Katie before I played it, and even offering it back to her right before the votes were read. So maybe my promises and my alliances are going to have a bit more weight than they once did to some people. But I need to figure out who's actually on my side and who actually has my back. I feel like Haley's the person I trust the most, along with Katie, as people that I don't think are going to vote for me. But they're not necessarily people that are going to be filled in on the whole plan potentially. I think Mike is playing the best game now. I think Mike has the most information out of anyone. He has his hands in so many cookie jars. And what cookie does he want to eat? That's the question. What cookie does Mike want to eat? Does he want to eat my cookie? Does he want to play with my jar of cookies? Because I have questions. He's trying to align with everyone. Everyone. And when you align with everyone, you're kind of aligned with no one. Especially if people start sussing you out. Is he really trying to pit me and Carl against each other without any truth behind it? Or is Carl just bold-faced lying to my face that he's not after me, that he's not bringing it up? Oh, man. This game is humbling. This game is humbling. I thought I'd either be a low threat level, just kind of going along, kind of creating and subtly controlling an alliance from the background, or I'd be controlling the game, and I'm neither right now. I'm a big threat that people are targeting, and I don't have as much information as other people. It's an uphill battle from here, I'll tell you that. It's an uphill battle. I got to figure out what hill to climb next. Because I think I have very few people looking after me in this game. Unfortunately, very few. Had a good conversation with Carl and Joshua afterwards just about trying to protect each other in the sense of big targets. I think that's my best play right now, is that I got a big target. If you get rid of me, who's next? You know, is it Joshua? Is it Carl? Like, think about this. Think about what stage in the game we're at. And if it's really the right time to start going after perceived big targets. Because once you get rid of a big target, who's the next biggest target? Is it going to be that kind of season? Is that the season we're playing? Because if that's the season you want to play, watch out. Maybe it's better if we watch each other's backs. Other big news is that I did find, I did go to a little clue room, and I did get coordinates. There was a little math problem that gave you degrees north and degrees west. When you put it into a map, it took you to Mural Glacier in Alaska. And then I got a message that I've read about 20,000 times that says Glacier Bay is very cold. Find one of your team captains out in the snow. And that's it. I'm searching Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the different Expedition Online pages. I've looked in the profile pics of all the different mods and the different accounts of Janet and Kelly, who are the team captains of this season. I've done Google searches. I've looked on Glacier Bay National Park's different pages and Wikipedia pages and tagged photos with Glacier Bay. I'm scouring the internet trying to find something. I found a picture of Kelly Wentworth in the snow, and I sent it to a mod, and they told me it can't just be any random photo. There's going to be something to find that clearly has an advantage in it. It's like, okay. All right. So it doesn't feel like much of a riddle. There's so little to go on. I'm either underthinking it or overthinking it. But I'm going to search for a long time. Philip obviously had the clue too. He referenced it, but he didn't reference the full clue. So I think that I don't know who else saw it, but I might have an advantage that no one else left in the game knows about in terms of this clue. So my ass is clearly on the line, so I better get searching. Expedition Online. It's a new day. I've been conferring with my master strategist and 6-month-old daughter, Piper Mae Jackson here. And, she told me a lot of things I need to keep in mind, like stop moping about your position in the game, buckle down, and get to work, Daddy. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to suss out exactly, who might still have my back in this game, and I'm going to focus on building new relationships. I really think if I start trying to win challenges and do things like that, my days in this game are numbered. So I'm gonna throw this challenge. I'm saying this right now. I feel like if this is a must-win challenge for me, I'm not gonna win this game. So I need to lower my threat level a bit and just be a loyal number for other people to make moves for the next vote or two before I can reestablish myself and take control of this game. I know, Piper, it was your idea. I'm just repeating you, all right? I'm giving you credit. Okay? So that's the goals for tonight. I'm just going to be loyal, good little number, David. Also, I feel like I should say that there was almost a burden of having this compass, especially because I kind of had it from someone else, and I would just felt so sleazy and trashy using it without her permission. When it kind of came down to it, I kind of realized like I couldn't just use this however I wanted. I wouldn't feel right doing it. So I'm glad that Katie kind of gave me permission, and hopefully that builds me some credibility with people in the game that I'm not looking just to play a snaky game. Because if Katie asked for it back at Tribal right there, instead of playing it for myself, I would have given it back to her. So I hope that builds some credibility, and hopefully can actually also kind of separate me and Katie in a way. Like it was incredibly generous for her to do that, but like with that idol, I felt like I had to play with her. I had to protect her at all costs. And, you know, I feel like I can't play like that right now. I can't be the one trying to sway the vote. I just got to be a number for the next 1 or 2 votes. And if I can make it through just on my social game, the next 1 or 2 votes, I think I can be in a really good position. Have the clue to this advantage. You know, gotta try and find Kelly or Janet hanging out in the snow somewhere, anywhere on the internet. It's a little overwhelming. I'm kind of not looking anymore because I went mildly insane trying to do that. I know, Piper, but you know, I'll get back at it at some point. It's starting to feel like a needle in a haystack. I just don't know what part of this clue I'm missing, because it just seems like it could be anywhere on the internet, and I'm not sure if anyone has told you this. Internet's big. It's a large place to search.
Okay, well, I've got a story for you. I have about 6 number 1s in this game right now. Hopefully they all actually think they're my number 1. Was I planning this? Definitely not. It just kind of happened, but I'm loving it. Mike thinks he's my number 1. Josh thinks he's my number 1. David thinks he's my number 1. Olivia thinks she's my number 1. Mariana thinks she's my number 1. And Carl thinks he's my number 1. So that's 6 plus me is 7. Only 3 people don't think they're my number 1. So, and I'm pretty sure the rest feel good with me. I'm feeling really good in the game at this point. I don't think I have anything to worry about for at least a few rounds. Which is good because I'm crazy busy. So until I have real time to really make this work and find that compass, I need to find that compass. There's no reason why I shouldn't have it already other than the time. Tonight was crazy. I wanted a mixture of things to happen. My mind kept on changing. I wanted Philip to go. I wanted Katie to go. I wanted, potentially even Bambi to go, or yeah, I think that was the main people I wanted to go. It wouldn't hurt me if Haley went, you know, and I mean, I wasn't going to push anything like that, but those are people that it wouldn't hurt me. Even Katie, I wanted her to go, I thought, because I wasn't really feeling loyalty to her, and I still don't, but listening to her and how she was crying and everything, something hit my heart, and I ended up voting Philip when I was supposed to vote Katie. And so it would have been a tie vote if I wouldn't have did that. And I'm glad that I didn't. I'm glad I voted Philip and went with my gut. Philip's a great dude. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to connect, so he's not good for my game. Also, he's all over the map trying to throw out hardcore deals. Didn't throw me a deal, but you know, it is what it is. Truly, my number one is Mariana. I will go final two with Mariana if I can. There's no lies about that. People were trying to push Carl tonight too, and Carl's crazy and he might flip on me at some point, but I don't want to see Carl go right now. I'm going to have a really hard time moving forward because I truly, really like all these people. I love Mike. I love Josh. I love David. All these people I've said my number ones to. Even Olivia, I love her. Olivia should be good for a few rounds. I don't think she'll be going anywhere either. And I'd like to go a lot further with Olivia, myself, and Mariana, and Mike, like I always said, and Carl too. If I could get some people out, like I like Haley, but she, like I said, nothing for my game there. So Kaylee could go. I feel bad for Katie. She's good television, but she's not really good for my game. So at this point, she could go, even though I don't want her to go. This is like such a hard spot because there's so many really cool people right now. I love Josh. I think Josh is amazing. His Etsy, it's so freaking cool. For that reason, I don't want to take Josh out. He just made a massive resume move, which is good because I feel like Josh is going to be a target. If I could, I would also go all females. If we can just knock out all the guys and I even be left with, it's so hard because I think I want to be left with Mike. But I also want to be left with David and I also want to be left with Josh. So I want to be left with Carl. I don't know what I got myself into. There's way too many likable people in this game. What did you guys do to me? It's going to be crazy. My connections are going to have to grow. I don't know what's going to happen next, but it's going to be anxiety filled. I can already see it now. So anyways, that's where my head's at right now. I'm in a ton of alliances. I'm in a ton of my number ones. And I just feel like I hope none of this turns on me and that I can proceed. Luckily, I think me and Mariana are together. I think she is solid. So if it does turn on me, I hopefully will know. But I guess we'll see what happens. Bye, guys.
Okay, listen, I am fired up. Tonight was crazy. I don't know if anyone knew what was actually going to happen. I got a vote. What? I thought I was about to be blindsided. So tonight we had Rendezvous, which is awesome. We've made it to a great spot in the game. We're all together. I'm talking to people that I haven't talked to since day 3 because my parties have almost stayed the same the entire time. So I am suspicious of a Rendezvous tonight. I think most of our party is. I don't know if the other party had any suspicions, but whatever. We go, I don't do great at the challenge, so whatever. I don't want to be a challenge threat anyways, if that's a possibility for me. Joshua wins. I gotta be honest. I'm hoping for Joshua next. So I thought Philip would win tonight, and I wanted Joshua. I haven't told anyone that, though. So we're talking about everything back at our new camp. Everyone's jumping every single which way. You can't talk to people that you definitely want to talk to. You're just hoping you end up in a room with them. So everyone's tossing out names. I'm hearing mostly Philip, but everyone's worried about Philip's advantage. So we want a backup plan. But there's nobody that I really wanted to do as a backup plan. And I 100% thought he had something that he could play. I was ready to go for Carl, especially because we heard Carl was throwing out David. And we didn't want David to go right now. So I was down to do Carl, but Philip was the big threat, and we stuck with it. Katie ended up being a backup. I didn't want to vote for her. David didn't have his vote and still got 3 votes. So we get to Crossroads everybody feels unsafe. This is so much more stressful than anything we've done before. So everyone's talking, and I don't think anyone knows what's actually going to happen. We get through the vote, we get to where people can give advantages. Joshua just like plays the half an idol in Philip's face. Okay. Then Katie gave David an idol, compass. Katie gave David a compass and he plays it. So there were 3 votes against him. And then Doc starts reading the rest of the votes and I have a vote. I think I'm about to be blindsided in that these people played me so good. Okay. But it does end up being Philip. He doesn't have anything to save himself, which we got a big person out of the game, but with what's going to happen next, I have no idea. Okay. I go back to Crossroads and I'm like very mad that I'm seeing my name out there. So I just ask and Bambi comes clean. And honestly, I voted Bambi once and didn't think it would mean anything. She voted me once. It didn't mean anything, but it's got me fired up. So I don't know where we're going to go next. I'm a little worried because the only people I really talked to afterwards were Bambi and Mariana. And so I don't want the people that I feel closer with to think I'm starting anything there. That's just what happens in these rooms. So hopefully the people I feel close to, like David, Mike, Olivia, and then Danielle's in there, I hope we can keep it up, but this is anybody's game.
Whatever. We finally rendezvous, which was something that I think we've all been waiting for. You know, I think for the last 3 rounds, we've all said, oh, we're going to rendezvous now. And today, I think it felt a little different. I think it really felt like it. And I'm happy it did happen. It was an interesting start to it because we had a challenge. We started with exemption, individual exemption, and all of my philosophies have always said never win the first exemption challenge. But I had some outliers, and one of them is if you gotta beat the person that's the perfect merge boot. The perfect rendezvous boot. And that perfect rendezvous boot was Philip. And still is Philip. And I had to make sure he lost. So I went through the first round, just make sure, see where Philip did. He ended up, I think he was the first one to finish, actually. Or maybe the second to finish, I'm not sure. So I had to win again to make sure that Philip, still wasn't going to win for sure. He gets through the second round. So now I'm in the final 3 with Philip and Mariana. And I now feel like the pressure is on. I have to beat Philip. I have to make sure that he does not have exemption tonight because that would be worst case scenario and I think shit would hit the fan at that point. So I did it. I sealed the deal. I did the challenge. I won. And yeah, I don't feel bad about it. I normally would very much discourage winning the first individual exemption, at least at a rendezvous. But this is one of those exceptions. And I'm happy with my decision. I'm happy that I did do that because that leaves my options open tonight as well as gives me a little bit more leeway to start throwing names out and have a little bit of fun. And I'm hoping to have some fun. We'll see where that goes, but I'm excited. I'm happy. I promised fun in this season of Expedition Online, and I'm gonna bring it. Supposedly, Philip has a full compass, so I've had to do a little snooping. I ended up in a call with him at some point, And I was talking to him. I said, you know, of course I have half a compass. What about you? What do you got? He says he's got half a compass and 2 other advantages. And he starts to say what his other advantages are, and he says, well, hold up. I will tell you what my 2 advantages are if you give me the half a compass right now. And that told me everything I needed to know about what Philip's game plan is. He's desperate, and he needs half a compass because he's only got half a compass. He doesn't got a full one. I'm going to keep that information a little on the down low. Of course, I'm going to tell people that I feel like need to know that. But as of right now, I want Philip to feel like he's comfortable with me. I'm sure he's got some sense of doubt. We haven't talked a whole lot. We haven't talked a lot of game. And this is the first time we've really talked since we've rendezvoused. But it's his only hope. So I'm gonna have a little fun with it. I'm gonna see what I can do. But everybody should know that is not the plan. I have been wanting Philip out since Janet told us the very first day. Philip gotta go. Neil gotta go. Neil's already gone. It's only one more person out of those 2 that gotta go now. We tried last time, or the other party tried, just sent him to the peak or whatever. And now he's still in the game. So we have to seal the deal. And this is what I'm doing. I'm heating up the wax right now, getting ready for that seal. And we're almost there. I am confident as long as Philip has a majority of the votes, or a plurality of the votes even, we're golden. We have sealed the deal. We have a golden ticket right to Final 9, or Final 10, and it's perfect. It's a perfect opportunity, and I'm excited. I'm sure I'm going to burn him. I'm sure he's not going to be happy, but we're going to have to roll with the die. It may be good for my game if somebody on the jury doesn't like me. A little negative social credit can go a long way into convincing people to take you farther in this game. So I'm excited to see where that goes, how it plays out, and I'm excited for Tribal Council. I think it's going to be a little lit, a little live, I should say. Lit that's an outdated term, I think. I don't know. I don't keep up with phrases anymore. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Especially having an exemption, it's just the perfect opportunity for me to start pulling some of my stuff. I guess we'll see. Ooh, I gotta... Hold up. We just had Crossroads, and it was a lot more fun than I thought it would be, honestly. And I'm really happy about it. I had my little thing with Philip. Doc's calls for idols, or compasses, advantages, all the good stuff. And I stand up, I say, hey, Docs, this right here is half a compass. I'm sure you saw it, so I'm not going to bore you with it too much, but ooh, the look on Philip's face and the audacity he has to say, I was loyal, I stuck to my word, and somebody like Joshua cannot be trusted. And I almost wanted to say, hey, David, you were in a call with Philip. What was he telling you? Was he telling you that he was voting for you, David? Oh, he wasn't? Oh, and what was that about? If 2 compasses are put together, they form 2 compasses? What? Are you saying you lied, Philip? How could you? That is so immoral of you, and dirty, and so bad. But it is the game of expedition, and I don't blame him. He is allowed to have however opinion, whatever style of game he wants to play. And as a juror now, he's allowed to respect and not respect anything he wants. So he just probably doesn't like me and was looking for an excuse to say he doesn't like me. That's too bad. I'll have to give him the old Birmingham bird at Final Tribal Council if I ever see him. And if he ever asks me a question. I would never do that, but I mean, it depends on what he asks me, actually. But yeah, I just found it a little hypocritical of him, which is not a horrible thing. I guess it's all right, but it's whatever. I think it bodes back to what I said earlier in my game, is that a little negative social credit will go a long way. Philip doesn't like me. I think that's quite apparent. So that makes it even easier for people to want to go farther with me, because I've already pissed off the first juror, the very first one, the person who's going to have the most influence on how this jury thinks. He's going to be able to talk to every single person for the rest of a week and a half that everybody's in the game, or going out of the game, I should say. So, I think it could bode well for me. I think I could at least go far in this game because of that. That one small detail that nobody's even thinking could be a possible strategy. And I think I just did it. So, that's genius. I think if this gets me far, I think I could do very well. And I'm excited for the prospects of that, because this is a big opportunity, big chance for me, and I'm excited for it.
I'm going to predict who's going to win. And it's either going to be Carl or one of the girls. Maybe me being one of the girls. I don't know. But any of the girls or Carl, those are the people. Because the men are damn crazy. Except for Carl. I like him. I trust him. And I do trust the girls. But I don't trust Mike or David. They have to go. Or another, or whatever the hell you told me. I have no idea. But you were like, and then you had to go. And then you're like, oh, meet me in this room. And then I went to go there, and there was no room because you were in there with Mike. And you knew you invited me there, and you knew it was only for 2 people, but he never left because you two were conspiring. I will never trust you. You stole that compass from me because you lied. You're despicable, and you have to go, and so does Mike. David, you are a sneaky snake. You came in and invited me to a room that only 2 people could be in. That would be fine. You and I would be in there. But Mike was in there with you, and he never left. I waited, and you could have told him to go because you wanted to talk to me, but you didn't. You and he conspired, and then he voted for me, and then you used this. You're disgusting. You're so despicable, and you have to go. And Mike, you guys are disgusting. I will never be friends with you, like, ever. Not after the show, ever. I don't trust you. Poof, go. Olivia, thank you for insisting that we speak. I was glad that we were able to talk about things and, get things out of the way. And I'm glad we did that. I didn't expect that, and I really didn't expect to tell you what I told you about me. I wasn't going to do that. Mike, you don't even ever make eye contact with me. Like, you're like afraid of me or whatever. You're kind of insecure. I feel sorry for you.
Hi everyone, it's Mariana with my day 8 update video. So I had to sneak far away from camp to tell you what I got today. So your girl Mariana, that's me, I found a compass. I just came back from Glacier Bay. I found this tree to tell you guys this news, but yeah, so I found a clue to a picture on Kelly's Instagram, and ironically, this picture, I took like a similar picture to this. So yeah, here's the picture. You can see that she's standing on the left, if you're looking at the camera, that is. And then there's like an ice glacier thing. So let me show you a picture that I similarly took to this picture, okay? So look, it's me also on the left, also with some sort of ice glacier thing that was at like a festival. So I was meant to get this compass. Guys, this picture that I found of Kelly, I went all the way to 2013 for this. We were at the crossroads. I was literally I kept scrolling. I acted like I didn't know anything. And I found it literally before like the vote. I didn't use it. And plus, again, I'm being very quiet right now because no one can know about the compass. Not even Danielle. I'm not even gonna tell Danielle. All right, so let's rewind back to the beginning of the night. When I was practicing, I was sucking so bad. Like, I did not do so hot. And then Danielle gave me advice on how to turn like the pop tabs in a certain way for the ball to have like a resistance to not go farther or something. So I tried it and it actually worked. And then so come the challenge, we find out, one, it's a rendezvous, and that our order that we were determining in our party chat didn't even matter because it was just an individual challenge. So the 6 first explorers to blow their ping pong balls to the end of the cans would advance to the next round. Guys, I made it to the 3rd round. I was the 4th or 5th person to get the 1st round. And then, yeah, I almost came in 1st place, guys. I was literally like 4 seconds shy of coming in 1st place. Josh got it, not mad about it, but at the same time, I was so short to getting my exemption for the night. Like, it would have been so nice because, as you know, there's only 3 of us Kelly explorers left. And of course, I heard my name tonight, as well as Bambi's and Philip's, mainly Bambi. Or I'm sorry, mainly Philip. But then also there was like this scheme there was a scheme from Carl, which he proposed to me, Philip, Olivia, eventually Bambi, to potentially vote David out because there's supposedly a 3-person alliance. It pretty much, assumingly David is like this big force, he's a good player. So a few of us were trying to vote for David, but what sucks is like when we first entered the rendezvous chat, I got into a chat with David and Danielle. I'm like, final 3. And then 5 minutes later, I got convinced to vote for him. So I gotta twist this now and say, hey, I only voted for you so people don't think that we're together. I'm just hoping that he won't target me for voting him. So I'm gonna have to address him tomorrow and let him know what that I just didn't mean to vote for him, which I mean, I did mean to vote for him because I didn't want Philip out. So yeah, I'm gonna have to see how that goes. And what actually pissed me off tonight, I told Danielle that Philip was scheming David, but technically it was Carl. And then Danielle goes right away and tells David, and then David ignores me throughout the entire rendezvous chat. And there were times where I was like alone in the party chat. I'm like, okay, great. There's alliances being formed, and I definitely feel, I feel like I was just excluded. And what sucks is like my other games that I played with, I'm usually used to being in the controlling alliance, so I always know what's going on. But like, I just feel so out of my comfort zone, like not being in that powerhouse. Like I'm for the first time having to fight for my own life in this game. Yeah, so there was, while everyone was like talking to each other, there were a few clue rooms that opened up. And first I saw Bambi and Philip go in there, and then I saw him jump out, and then I went in there, and I quickly took a picture of the screen. It were some coordinates that made us get another clue. So that I have to talk to David and hope that I can get safe, and hope that he doesn't think that I'm truly targeting him, because honestly at this point of the game, I'm like literally in the middle. Like whoever wants to take me in, like I'll join and see who I can help benefit. I just don't want to be gone, but hey, I'm gonna keep my ears open. I'm gonna hope and trust that Danielle tells me if my name is truly being like a majority, because I do have that compass that I can play, and hopefully I can just make it final 9 or final 8. So yeah. Oh, and then the actual vote. Ugh. So David literally begs Katie to use her idol, or to use her compass. And what's so funny was like Katie almost got the same amount of votes, and I was actually thinking of switching my vote to Katie. So how funny would that have been if Katie actually got out while giving the compass to David? Like, I should have just voted for Katie. I like her, but I should have just voted for, like, you know, dramatic effect. But yeah, unfortunately Philip got out, and now it's just Bambi and I. At this point, I really hope they're not just trying to pick us off one by one. I hope that Bambi and I can find our placement. But honestly, it's just gonna be tough moving forward. I'm thankful that I got the compass. Honestly, I'm like channeling Kelly right now. Like, I hope that I can pull a Kelly with just, you know, hey guys, just out of nowhere, like at the crossroads, no one had no idea. I have a compass to save me, and bam. That, or I have to win individual immunity. But yeah, well, I guess wish me luck. And yeah, I gotta figure out who I want to bind with. Do I go with like the David and Danielle? Do I go with the Josh and Carl? But honestly, like I'm kind of speculating Carl now, because I feel like he lied to us about this voting for David plan, because I don't know if he actually voted for David. So all right, well, that's all I have for now. I guess I'm gonna go back inside. It's getting cold. Yeah, I gotta go inside before it starts snowing again. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Okay, so I had to do my confessional this morning because I was just so exhausted from what happened yesterday. I had to wait because my brain was just it was like mush. First, we get to the party, and we all agree that, like, the six of us have the numbers. We're all good. Like, let's work through this. We might be rendezvousing, so if the six of us can work together, moving forward, that would be the most beneficial. We get to the challenge. We are told we are rendezvousing. I'm excited. Like, I'm in a good spot. I feel like I've got David and Haley in one corner. I've got Bambi kind of on the side with me, and that's sort of connected to Danielle and Olivia. And then I've got Carl and Josh kind of as a little guys alliance. So I feel pretty confident. And I feel like Philip is with me. Like, Philip and I, I did vote him earlier, but he knew that I had a feeling that it was going to be kind of a weird twist. So I think that we had smoothed things over, and like he understood like why I did what I did. So I really felt like Philip was with me and was on my side. So I went into the rendezvous feeling really good, and Mariana was my clear target. Like, I had to vote her out. There was no other option. And then chaos ensued. So as soon as we got back to the rendezvous party, I think it was Danielle, David, and Mariana immediately jump into a room. Like, the three most random people. So it's like, okay, that's weird. So I got worried about that. Excuse me, I just woke up. I really didn't understand how the three of them would end up in a room together. I think David just saw the two of them go into a room of three, and so he just wanted to kind of jump in. So I think that's how that worked out. I end up connecting with, I don't even remember. There was so many things that were going on. Like, it was like absolute chaos. But I remember connecting with Bambi and feeling like, letting her know, like, I'm good with you. I promise. Like, let's figure this out. I do remember that the five, as I'm dubbing the five, Danielle, Haley, David, myself, and Olivia, we all ended up in a room together. I believe all five of us did. It was so crazy. And we basically committed. Like, we were like, we need to make sure that the 5 of us are here at the end. Carl, myself, and Philip end up in a room together. And Carl and Philip are like gung-ho, like, let's get David out. Olivia was with us as well. So it was the 4 of us. Now I remember. So Olivia, Philip, Mariana, Carl, and myself. And Carl and Philip are going to town on David. Now, Carl had gone to town on David with me at Serrated Peak. So I know full well that Carl is willing to go after David. So I'm fully like, yep, this is probably what's going to happen. I need to warn David because David doesn't have a vote. So I need to let David know that he's good with me, but like he needs to figure something out. So I go into a room with David. Olivia's already telling him. So I'm like, okay, that's good. Olivia did it. So it's not even me. Like, I just popped into the room and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's true. And I had already told David that Carl was coming after him. Like, I had already let him know. So I hope that Carl doesn't think it was me because it was technically Olivia. So I'm kind of feeling pretty good that I can kind of like weasel my way out of that awkwardness. But basically now, like, it sounds like we're flipping the vote on to Carl because Carl's clearly not trustworthy. So Katie pops in as soon as we start talking about it. And Katie goes running to Carl about it. And I told David, I was like, you can't trust Katie. Katie's literally telling Carl right now what our plan is to save you. Like, we're trying to save you, David. She went and told Carl now. So now Carl knows that we're all coming after him. So David's now stressing out. So now, and Katie's name keeps coming up too. So we've got Katie's name out there as well. I think Danielle initially dropped it to me. She was talking about how Katie has a full idol, or excuse me, how Katie has a full, Danielle was talking about how Katie has a full compass. And I was kind of like, yeah, like I would be willing to take Katie out of the game. If we're going to go after a Janet, let's take Katie out. So the vote's on Philip at this point. Everyone seems pretty solid on Philip. Josh starts coming up with this idea of maybe splitting the votes just in case Philip has a compass. So Danielle, myself, Olivia, I think that's who it was. Danielle, myself, Haley, and Josh, and Olivia, we all decide that we're going to split the vote. So Haley, Josh, and Olivia were supposed to vote for, we were going to split the votes, between Philip and Bambi. And Olivia, myself, and Danielle pretty much have an alliance with Bambi. So the 3 of us are kind of like, eh. And Olivia jumps up and she's just like, oh, I'll vote for Philip. And I was like, ugh. So it leaves Danielle and I to vote for Bambi. And Danielle is like, eh. And I'm like, yes. So Danielle's like, I'd rather vote for Katie. So I was like, ooh. So I was like, I mean, I could do that for sure. I mean, yeah, I want to vote for Katie. So I'm hoping that Philip has an idol. I'm hoping that Philip has a compass. Then I get into a room with Josh and Philip, and they're talking about combining their half compasses with each other to save Philip. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I'll let you guys figure this out. I'm going to go make a plan. To which I basically was like, I'm voting for Katie. Because Philip's going to play a compass. David had then told me he has Katie's compass. So I'm like, oh my God, Katie gave you her compass? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, I'm voting for Katie. And he's like, you are? And I'm like, I don't know who else to vote for. And he's like, I don't want to screw her over with her own compass. And I was like, I don't know, buddy. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So at this point, I'm thinking Philip has a full compass. David has a full compass. That means whoever this throwaway person is going to go home. So I'm like, perfect, it's going to be Katie. So we get to Rendezvous, or we get to Crossroads, and a lot of conversation. Nobody's really giving anything in Crossroads, and it's like, it's a little boring, but like, I see where people are coming from. Like, you know, nobody wants, because there's so many names out there at this point. And Haley's name has come up at the last second, because David, somehow Katie told everybody that David has the compass. Like, why would you do that? Like, you completely put Haley into a weird spot. So I really want David and Haley to realize Katie is not trustworthy because she doesn't understand the game. Like, telling everybody all this information is going to be detrimental to us as a group. And that's why I voted for Katie. Like, Katie is a wild card. She's not with me. She's with David and Haley, and I happen to be with David and Haley. So I have no allegiance to Katie whatsoever. And I know she feels like betrayed by me or whatever, but it is what it is. So the Rendezvous comes out. Josh decides that he's going to just be completely... I thought it was mean. I thought it was mean-spirited the way he did it. He basically just, like, puts up his half compass. He says, I promise to give this to somebody, but I'm not going to because he's stacked with advantages, and why would I give him my half compass? Which I didn't understand in the first place why he was offering that to Philip. But, like, you gave somebody an out. You gave somebody hope, and then you publicly shamed them. I did not like that. I didn't like the way Josh did that. I thought it was boastful. I thought it was cocky. And Philip, you know, as much as Philip, I think, has his own faults, I just felt like that was, like, you kicked somebody while they were down. And that just does not sit well with me whatsoever. And it's so frustrating because Carl and Josh were all worried about the girls coming after us as guys. There's 5 guys in the game right now before the vote. And Carl and Josh wanted to take out David at first. And Philip's going after David. And I'm just like, guys, you all put this together so that the girls wouldn't outnumber us. And here we are already voting each other out. Like, I don't trust anything the guys say whatsoever. I am 100% down to stick with the girls because they've pretty much done what they told me they were going to do every time. I can predict them. Anyway, so the vote comes out. Josh does this whole, the votes happen, and Josh does this whole dramatic thing, which I did not like. I really felt like it was just too much, and kicking somebody while they were down, giving them hope when you knew full well you weren't going to do it, and that just, it hurts. Like, it hurts that he was willing to do something like that in a game that's supposed to be for charity. Like, everyone's always saying, like, oh, this game's for charity, but then, like, we do things like that, and it's just like, ugh. I did vote for Katie because I really did think Josh was going to give him that half idol, or I really did think that Josh was going to give him that half compass. So I voted for Katie. I have a lot to explain to her. So we'll see how that goes. But the votes end up coming out, and it's 2 votes Philip, 2 votes Katie, 1 vote Haley, 3 votes David, but he used his compass. So David's safe. Ends up being 4 votes on Philip, 2 votes on Katie, and 1 vote on Haley. So if I had persuaded Bambi to vote for Katie and Danielle had voted for Katie, Katie would have gone home. Olivia ended up voting for Katie. So had Danielle done what she said she was going to do, it would have at least tied. And then the revote definitely would have been Katie because Mariana and Bambi would have voted for Katie. And there would have been 8 people re-voting. So that would have been 5 votes. So Katie would have gone home and I would be sitting pretty because I got what I wanted. So the unfortunate thing is that Katie's still in the game. She's a huge, revenge kind of, I feel like she's going to come after me with a vengeance. So I've got to make sure that I can get people kind of with me to take Katie out of the game. And right after Rendezvous, Josh and Carl checked in with me. Josh was so proud of his big play, and I was like, cool, yay, good job. I'm like, I voted for Katie because I thought you were going to give him that half compass, so I threw my vote somewhere else to make sure that it wasn't me or my stronger allies. And so Carl and Josh totally understood. They were like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, good job, like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just protect me, guys. Like, and Josh was the one that was like, yeah, we can go after Katie next. Like, no big deal. I was like, cool. So I'm hoping he's being honest because he wasn't with Philip. So I'm a little nervous about Josh and how he played that. So, you know, do I trust him? Can I trust him? Because I really don't connect with him as often as I would like. But he was the one that wanted to talk to me after Crossroads. So I feel good with that. I feel like he is trying to, you know, connect with me and stick with me. So that feels good. I'm just hoping that, you know, people can see Katie for what she's worth. She literally just outed herself after she outed that she's like, Mike, I think you voted for me. And I was like, yeah, I did. And she's like, you know, I am a poker player. I can figure things out. And I was like, yeah, that's why I voted for you. And then she's like, oh, good excuse. Yeah, like, yes. You brought it up. You were the one that said, like, I'm so good at this game. Like, I can figure out who votes for me. I'm like, I know. Like, that's why I wanted you out. Like, so I like Katie. I really, really do. And I hope that she, you know, she knows that maybe after the game, whoever ends up getting farther, who cares, can understand, like, why I did what I did. Like, you know, you're buddy-buddy with, like, two people that I want to be buddy-buddy with, and I'm not buddy-buddy with you. So I just felt like I had to use her as kind of the scapegoat in this round. It almost worked. And the fact that it almost worked means that I think I can pull some strings tonight to make sure that, you know, I can stick around and hopefully she goes home. So we'll see how it goes, and I'm looking forward to how this all works. I also have half a compass, and I know Josh wants to work with me, so it sounds like between he and I, we have a full compass that is usable, that he might actually give me or I might give him. So we'll see how that works out. I'm kind of hoping David ends up with a half compass because I think he trusts me 100% at this point. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I think that my next target is Katie. I'm shocked that Mariana hasn't come up at all, but we'll see how things go. Wish me luck.
So the first round after the rendezvous is always super crazy. And today was no exception. It was a complete shit show, and I don't think I really knew what I was doing, or anyone really knew what they were doing until probably 5 minutes before Crossroads. I definitely feel like I have my hands in a lot of different cookie jars right now, which is probably a good thing. Because it means that no one is really saying my name and I can go any which way and I have a lot of different options. But it can also be really hard when you're trying to decide who to vote for. And I legit could not decide for so long tonight. I was so stressed, and I really didn't even make up my mind until I was actually voting. But there were so many different options today. I heard most people's names, honestly. I heard Carl, which I obviously wasn't going to do. I heard Bambi and Mariana, which I was reluctant to do, just to leave the door open for that Girls Alliance. I heard David, and I was sort of considering it for a little bit. I thought it would be like a nice big move, but I don't want to burn the bridge so early with, not just with David himself, but with Haley, with Mike, and like close the door on that 5-person alliance with Haley, Mike, David, and Danielle. And then I heard Philip, and I wanted to vote Philip really badly, and that was always my first priority. But I thought that he probably had a full compass, and I thought he was going to play it tonight and not go home. And I knew he had some sort of advantage. I didn't know what it was, but I just would rather be safe and throw my vote on someone else. And then I also wanted to leave the door open just in case he didn't go home, to be like, hey, like, I didn't vote for you. Like, maybe we could work together to get out someone like David, who we both see as a threat. Because it's true, like, I am in an alliance with David right now, but I do see him as a very like dominant social and physical player, and I would not be opposed to getting him out soon. And I know Philip would definitely be on board for that, and he's also kind of close with Bambi and Mariana just because they were the only 3 Team Kellys left today. So I just wanted to leave that door open just in case he didn't go home. So I ended up voting for Katie because I hadn't really trusted her for a while. Like just the inconsistencies in the stories that she was telling different people, and then not telling me about the compass was sort of the icing on the cake. And I was hearing about everybody's different plans. I really like heard every single name that was mentioned. And I knew that Katie was planning on giving her full compass to David, who was going to play it on himself. So I knew that was going to happen. So I was like, you know what, I'll just throw a vote on Katie, because if Philip ends up playing his compass and one of them throws like a random vote and doesn't vote David, then like maybe I could be in trouble. So let's just vote Katie and be safe. And I do feel really bad about it on a personal level, because she opened up to me after Crossroads and told me some of the personal struggles that she goes through that I had no idea about before today, and what I perceived as sort of her lying and being deceptive and purposely not telling the truth about certain things was actually just her not remembering things. And it made me feel really bad, especially as someone with an invisible disability, where people can make hurtful comments about things that they don't even realize can affect me. Like, oh, like you're 22 and you can't drive. Like that's crazy. Or how can you not read a map? Like they're so easy to read. And people don't realize that when people have invisible disabilities, that those little things that you say can really hurt. So I definitely felt bad that I hurt her feelings today. Knowing how painful hearing those things can be, and then realizing that you did it to somebody else, even if it was by accident, is so upsetting. But I definitely feel closer to her after tonight's conversation, and I think I could I feel like her and Carl are kind of close, so I'm already working with Carl, so I could potentially work with her going forward. I feel like I have a lot of different options right now, which is great for me. And yeah, it was definitely an intense, crazy round, but it could have gone a lot worse, and I made the jury, so that's good.
Well, the second time was the charm for getting me out, which was a bummer. I felt like, maybe I didn't have that much longer in the game regardless, but I would have loved to have a little bit more time after Rendezvous, 1, to compete in the challenges, and 2, to form some relationships with people who I maybe didn't have close ones with. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I think it was between David and I. And David and I think in a different timeline, or if we started on the same teams, would have probably been close allies. But just with how things worked out, we clearly knew we were both on the opposite sides of the vote. And he was fortunate enough to get his compass from Katie, which we'll see how that plays out. I think David will really feel indebted to her and really protect her. So, at the end of the day, I think it might be a pretty smart move for Katie. But what it does do is it exposes her now as not having a compass. So we'll see how that plays out. Some of the people who, again, I have no ill will against the people who voted against me. It's a game. It's how it works. I think I was doing pretty well in the challenges consistently. So I think as we got to Rendezvous, people saw that as a threat. And I was also just not on the right side of the numbers. So, feeling like a threat and not being on the right side of the numbers is not a great combo for staying in the game. The one thing, I really didn't like how Joshua handled things at the end, though. There's really no need for him to tell me that he was going to, use his compass and give it to me to get out of the game. I understand that that's a strategy and it's part of the game, and he wanted to make me feel safe. I never felt safe, but he told me multiple times, and for me it was a complete shot in the dark. So, I feel like I was, about to say that, and then as I went to go say that, he was kind of smug about it, which was a little surprising to me. He seemed to try to call me out, but in doing so, I think he ended up just kind of torpedoing himself a little bit, and putting his own game at risk. And my speech before the vote was, once you have my word, you trust it, you have it, and that's something that I take pride in. And so, pretty much what he did then is he exposed himself to not being true to his word. So, again, I'm not blaming him for my downfall, because I would have been voted out. If not this week, next week. I was sent out one time, and once you vote someone out once, it's really easy to do so again. I think it's just natural to be able to do that again. But we'll see the impact that has on his game long term. But last thing, I'm excited I'm on the jury. It's going to be really fun to see how this game unfolds, and also the people who I'm really going to be rooting for. Even if I really want Carl, Katie, Bambi, Mariana, some of the original crew. But then also, Mike and David, they voted against me, but I think they're great players in this game. So I just want to see someone who's played a good game win, because at the end of the day, that's what I care most about. So it's been a heck of a ride, and I will see you on the jury. Good night.